Welcome to Learning with UNP. In this session of Business Intelligence with Power BI, we will be diving into an important area of analysis, time intelligence functions. These are a set of functions that allow us to manipulate and work with time-based data, giving us the ability to answer questions like how much has been sold up to this point in this year? How are our sales performing in this month compared to last year? What is our performance so far compared to previous periods? Time intelligence is crucial for analyzing trends, measuring performance over time, and making time-based comparisons in Power BI. For our demonstration, we will be using the Superstores dataset. In this dataset, we have key columns like order date, sales, and more. We have already created a date table in Power BI. This table is essential because it enables Power BI to handle time-based calculations correctly. It provides a continuous range of dates that Power BI can reference for accurate year-over-year, month-over-month, and day-over-day comparisons. Let me begin by giving an introduction to time intelligence functions. Time intelligence functions in Power BI are powerful tools that help us perform calculations over time. These functions allow us to track performance over periods like year to date, month to date, and week to date. Compare current performance to past periods, such as comparing this year's sales with last year's sales during the same period. Aggregate data dynamically, adjusting it based on the current filter context, example, specific month, quarter, or years. In this session, we will focus on three key time intelligence functions that will help us analyze our total sales. They are total year to date function, total month to date function, and previous year function. We have already imported Superstores data. Superstores data contains sales data with order date, sales, and other information. We then created a date table. The date table is crucial because it provides a continuous list of dates that Power BI will use to perform time-based calculations. Before we dive into the time intelligence functions, we need a basic measure that calculates the total sales. This will be the foundation for our time intelligence calculations. The total sales measure will simply calculate the sum of sales across all orders in our dataset. This is essential because we will base our year to date, month to date, and sales previous year calculations on this total. Here is how we do it. Click on Orders table, click on New Measure. Let's name this measure as total sales. Equals to, since we are calculating sum of sales, let's type sum. Here is the function hit tab. We want to calculate sum of sales from orders table, so search for sales. Here is the column, hit tab, close the bracket, hit enter. This formula sums up the sales column from the orders table, giving us the total sales across all transactions. You can see here a measure named total sales is created. Let's visualize it using a number card. Click on number card, drag this measure onto the number card. As you can see here, 1.34 million are the total sales in our dataset. Now, with the total sales measure in place, we can start applying time intelligence functions to calculate how the sales are performing over time. Let's start with the total sales year-to-date function. The total year-to-date function calculates the cumulative total of sales from the beginning of the year up until today. This is crucial for tracking how much of the year's sales have been achieved so far. Here is how we do it. Click on Orders table, click on New Measure. Let's name this measure as total sales year-to-date. Equals to type total YTD, that is total year-to-date function. Here is the function tab. The parameters of total YTD function are here. Expression. This is the measure or column you want to calculate the year-to-date total for. Dates. This is the column in your data that contains dates which will be used to determine the year-to-date period. Filter. You can apply additional filters to the calculation using a Boolean expression or a table expression. Year-end date. If you want to specify a different year-end date than December 31st, you can use this parameter. Now, let me type the formula and then I'll explain what is happening. Let me type total sales. Here is the measure that we have created, tab, comma. The date we are using is the date column from the date table. So type date. Here is the date column from date table, hit tab, close the bracket, hit enter. Let me explain you what this formula is doing. Total sales refers to the measure we created earlier to sum up all the sales. This part of the formula is the column from our date table that specifies the date range for the calculation. Power BI uses this to calculate the total sales from January 1st of the current year up to today. With this formula, when you apply a year filter, Power BI will show the total sales for that year up until today. If you apply a date range filter, it will dynamically adjust and calculate the sales from the start of the selected year to the current date. Let's visualize the value of total sales YTD using a number card. Click on number card, drag this measure onto the number card. If you can see here, total sales year to date are 733.22 thousand. Next, let's implement the total sales month to date function. The TOTALMTD function calculates the cumulative total sales for the current month from the first of the month up until today. Here is how we do it. Click on Orders table, click on New Measure. Let's name this measure as total sales month to date, that is total sales MTD, equals to type total MTD. Here is the function, hit tab. The parameters of total MTD function are here. Expression, the measure or calculation you want to sum up for the current month. Dates, the column in your data that contains date values. Filter, an optional argument. This is a Boolean expression that allows you to further filter the data before calculating the month to date total. Let me type the formula and explain it to you. Let's type total sales. Here is the measure that we have created. Hit tab, comma, type date. Here is the date column from date table. Hit tab, close the bracket, hit enter. Let me now explain you what this formula is doing. Total sales again refers to our total sales measure. This part of the formula uses the date table's date column to filter and calculate the total sales for the current month from the first day of the month up to the current date. This will give us the total sales for the current month up until today. So if today is February 5, 2025, the calculation will show you the sales from February 1st, 2025 to February 5th, 2025. This measure will update dynamically depending on the month or date filter you apply. Next, let's create a measure for sales previous year. This function allows us to compare sales to the same period in the previous year, helping us analyze growth or decline over time. Here is how we do it. Click on Orders table, click on New Measure. Let's name this measure as sales previous year. Equals to, let's type calculate, tab. We are trying to calculate total sales, so type total sales. Here is the measure, hit tab, comma. Now let me type something and explain it to you clearly. Year, hit tab, of the date from the date table, so search for date. Here is the date from date table, hit tab, close the bracket, equals to year max of the date from the date table, close the brackets, -1. Hit enter. Now let me explain you clearly what this formula is doing. Calculate modifies the context of the calculation. Total sales is a measure we have already created to calculate total sales. This part of the formula filters the calculation to the previous year by comparing the current year to the previous year. We use this part of the formula to get the current year. Then subtract 1 to refer to the previous year. This formula will calculate sales for the same period in the previous year. For example, if today is February 5, 2025, it will show the sales from February 1, 2024 to February 5, 2024, giving us a year-over-year comparison. Now let's visualize both total sales month to date and sales previous year using number cards. Click on number card, drag total sales month to date measure onto the number card. So the total sales month to date are 345.98 thousand. Let me take another number card and drag sales previous year measure. So the sales previous year were 609.21 thousand. Finally, we have explored the powerful time intelligence functions in Power BI. We have covered how to calculate year-to-date sales using total YTD, calculate month-to-date sales using total MTD, compare sales to the previous year using sales previous year. These time intelligence functions are vital for analyzing trends, tracking performance, and comparing sales over time. With these measures in place, you can make more informed decisions based on time-based data. Hit Ctrl S to save the changes. This is all about today's lecture. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.